And so we have a dedicated website just for this event. The URL for the website is designreview.risd.edu. And pretty much everything that I'm going to talk about tonight, you can find information about it on this website. So it's a great place to go. So our agenda is pretty simple. We'll be looking at the companies that are participating, the process for applying to participate in a review, how to meet with reviewers, like what the experience is like, and what questions to ask or what questions to expect, and why following up after the event is so important, whether you meet with someone or not. It's a great opportunity. Then we'll open it up for your questions and answers. But even though I have that at the end, I do want to make sure that everyone gets what they need out of tonight. So please don't be shy about raising your hand, and let's make sure that everybody gets the answers they need tonight. So we're going to talk about the participating companies for this year. You can go to our website, and it's the same URL for the portfolio website, designreview.risd.edu/2025. This has the running list of companies that are available, and it also indicates the majors that they're interested in, and that's listed with abbreviations under each name. And if you click the name, and it also takes you to the website. So it's a great place to go. It's kind of like a hub for everything that's coming in. And, we haven't quite stopped with registration. So there's still some latecomers that are registering. So it's a great place to keep your eye on. Now, I also want to mention that the website is not the only place to see where companies are registering. So in Artworks, you can go to the OCI and job listings link on the left-hand side. And if you click the OCI tab at the top, it's going to show you all of the OCIs, or the companies that are showing up for on-campus interviews, as they're called, OCI. And so one thing that I do recommend, and I had said like, oh, you can look for your major on the participating companies page. Well, you can also do that in Artworks. If you create a filter when you're looking at these listings and you search for major, you can see here on screen that there's the job posting RISD major. And so to that, you could add, whatever majors of interest you have. It could be your major, it could be majors that you're interested in. So maybe you're in textiles, but you also want to include apparel, for instance, or industrial design. Whatever you choose, you can see the companies by listing. And so this is what it kind of looks like when you filter by these things. So just as an example, if we were looking at apparel and textiles, it would give us this report of all of these companies that have indicated interest in apparel and textiles. For G+M, FAV, illustration, it would list all of these companies that are currently registered. Hopefully some familiar logos in there. For architecture, interior architecture, landscape architecture, there's numerous firms that have shown up as usual to meet with RISD students. And if we're filtering by design engineering and furniture design and industrial design, this is what shows up for that focus. Graphic design, photography, printmaking also shows up a nice range of companies. And so I'd like to give you just a sampling of some of the companies that are going to be participating. And I always try to use like a useful logic. And so my logic for this time around is that I'm going to show you companies that have alumni that are participating actually in the event. And so to start with, we have Andrea Clare Studio, founded in Brooklyn, New York. Andrea is a architecture alum from 1989. And she draws on her talents in both art and architecture, creating customizable, scalable, sustainable, sculptural lighting systems. Arrow Street is an award-winning Boston-based architecture and design firm comprised of architects, interior designers, planners, and experienced designers who are astute observers, bringing diverse perspectives to every venture. And we have a alum from Intar who graduated in 2000, and she's the director of interior design. Athletics makes brands that go to work, which means going beyond guidelines and into reality. It means positioning their clients for the future, helping them scale globally, and catching the world's attention. And we have a alum from graphic design who graduated in 2023 and is a designer there. Black Math is a design-first studio that develops creative solutions for problems of all kinds. They specialize in identity, content, and innovation. And we have alum from 2020 who graduated from FAV and is the creative director at Black Math. Bull Stockwell Allen is an integrated strategy, design, and architecture firm that brings together place, people, and purpose to create truly transformative environments. And we have an alum from graphic design in 1998 who serves as director of brand and marketing. Datner Architects is a mission-driven, woman-owned design firm focusing on civic spaces and the urban experience. And we have someone from 2020 architecture department and is a designer. David Stark Design believes in the power of making inspiring, groundbreaking art. Their events create memories that connect people for a lifetime. And we have a design director who graduated from ID in 2016. Deloitte Digital has 2 alums that'll be participating this year, both from ID, one from 2019 and one from 2022, and that's a design consultant and a junior designer respectively. And Echo draws inspiration from the vitality and diversity of the city, all the while holding to the idea that a single accessory can possess the power to transform a look or a room, a mood, or a perspective. And we have 2 alums. One graduated in 1978 from textiles and is a design director of home. And another is a alum of apparel from 2019 and is a designer for Ralph Lauren. Forms and Surfaces brings together ideas, materials, sciences, and most importantly, people. And we have 2 alums. One is a ID graduate from 2007 who's a design director. And we have a graduate from Textiles 2020 who's an architectural surfaces designer. Jensen Okanishi Studio rugs are designed in Japan and handcrafted in Nepal by trusted artisans. Each rug is custom made in the Tibetan knotting technique using 100% Himalayan wool. And the alum by the same name graduated from Textiles in 2011. Morco's Key is a Brooklyn-based design studio collaborating with arts and cultural institutions. They translate client stories into visual systems that demonstrate how thoughtful conversation and formal expression make for impactful design. And we have an alum from graphic design who graduated in 2013 and is a founding partner. And we have Nick and Zoe. Nick and Zoe also has 2 alums from apparel, one from 2008 and one from 2005. So that's the outline of folks that have just the alums that are involved at this point. And as a matter of fact, Susan and I were just talking at the back of the room. We've actually had some more alums that have registered since creating this slide deck. So it's a great representation from alums and such a great show of support. So I think one thing, I dropped a reference to OCI earlier, and I think one thing that would be helpful, we're going to go through what the process is now that we've looked at who the companies are and the range of companies that are showing up. Let's go through the kind of the process of using artworks in this event. So let's get some terms out of the way. So when we talk about on-campus interviews, this is a label that's used in artworks, and it's also labeled as OCI. What we're really talking about is a portfolio review. If we're talking about an interview time slot, it's not a job interview. It's really a portfolio review time slot. And when we say apply to an OCI, this is the way that you request a portfolio review. And it's also a means for us to send your resume to the reviewer. So you're not actually applying to a job. That can come with some, it can be a little intimidating if you start thinking of it that way. But rest assured, this is the way that you participate in the event, is using these tools. Another relatively new feature that we're using is called an OCI application lottery. So portfolio reviews are very popular among students, and the lottery is a way to reduce stress for you. It's also a way to balance the distribution of all student applications across the meeting time slots for all companies. So some of you may have heard of a time where it was first come, first serve. That was very high pressure. It was stressful. And this process is far superior. And it does a great job of distributing your odds across all open time slots. So it's much like when you think of a lottery, you're essentially like, it's like when you submit an application, it's like buying a lottery ticket. It gives you a chance at a meeting with a company that you're interested in. So we're talking about applying to OCIs, which again, these are on-campus interviews or portfolio reviews. And what our strong recommendation is you want to apply to all of the companies that you're interested in. So every OCI for every company that you want, please do apply to it. You can apply anytime during this 2-day application window. And there's no advantage to applying early. So you just apply when the window's open. And the more applications that you make increases the potential for more possible portfolio reviews, as you would think, If you're only applying for one OCI, you're really running a risk of not getting any portfolio reviews because you've only submitted one chance to get a meeting, right? So it is generally a good practice to apply to multiple OCIs that you're interested in. Now, applying to an OCI does not guarantee that you're going to get a review. However, all applications and resumes, as I did mention before, will be sent forward to the company for future networking and follow-up after the event. So here's what this process looks like, because if you go into Artworks right now, you're not actually able to apply yet. The application window hasn't opened yet. So when it does open, it will look like this. And these are just example companies just for demonstration purposes. So you're going to click on OCI and job listings. And you can click OCI at the top. You can select an OCI for a company that you're interested in. So in this case, it's Big Architecture. And you'll have an Apply Now button here. So you can hit that Apply button, which it won't show up right now, but when it's open, there will be a blue Apply button. And the system will ask for a resume. And if you've already got your resume in your profile, there's this pull down right here that you can use to select which resume that you want. And then you can hit the Apply button. And after you do that, you get a message back that says, congratulations, because you've successfully applied. If you'd like to apply to more OCIs, which of course we recommend that you do, you can click on that link on the left again and go back in and apply to more OCIs and more companies of interest, right? So is everybody following me so far? Like if you've got 5 companies that you've identified that you're interested in, or in some cases, we see people that have 20 companies that they're interested in. You can go in and apply to all of those companies and have them all recorded during this 2-day application window, okay? Now, there's another aspect of the lottery, which is pretty cool. You can rank your applications. So if you have a favorite company, you would want to rank that company the highest. And then as things get less important to you, it can get lower in your rank or priority. this lottery system actually not only uses the equal distribution of OCIs that you've applied to with available spots, but it also considers how important a company is to you. This is a new feature that has been offered by the platform, and we used it last year, and it was really impressive. It really does a great job. So this is what the ranking process looks like. And so the way that this will work is that you will click and drag your OCI applications up and down in a list, which will help you indicate what's higher ranked or lower ranked. So, oh, you know what? Let me go back to that. We've been looking at this screen before when we're looking at our OCI and job listings. There is a link all the way to the top right that says rank or ranking. So you're going to hit that ranking link, and this is what the process looks like. So these are the 5 OCIs that have been applied to, and I decide that I want to move Big down to slot number 2, but I want to move Riot Games up to slot number 3. This is how the ranking's working. So IDO in that time is my favorite OCI. And so the end result is it has this little column that shows the rank number. And of course, visually, it's the ones that are higher priority, right? Any questions so far? Cool. So another aspect, like the lottery is considering how many slots are available, how many students have applied, what the rank is, right? But then there's another aspect, which is that you may have an obligation during portfolio reviews, and you certainly wouldn't want to get booked for a portfolio review when you're busy. So you can block out time in your calendar so that you're not booked over that time. So the way to do that is you can go to My Interview Availability, which is also under the OCI section. So it's all under that whole category, OCI and job listings. And we're going to the date of the portfolio reviews, which is March 12th, 2025. And you're going to click to add a time slot on your calendar when you're busy. And a dialog pops up and you can enter the description for what it is that you have during that time frame. You can also, there's a pull down for like if it's a class or something like that. And then when you're done, the time is registered in your calendar and the lottery will stay away from that time period so that it won't double book you. Now, there's one thing that I'd like to clarify. There's also a link over here for My Calendar. This is not where you can book your interview time block. So what I just showed you was My Interview Availability up there in gray. My Calendar looks very similar, but that's not where you can block out your calendar, okay? My Calendar is just for viewing. So as I was mentioning, to view your calendar, so let's say you've made your applications, you ended up getting the lottery results and you got a portfolio review. To view the results, you can go to My Calendar. And here we can see the time frame is 12 to 5 on March 12th. And we have that time block that we had put in there so that the lottery didn't book over that. But then there's a little blip here and it says SMRT, like a company name. And that's your portfolio review that you got out of the process. Or if you've got several portfolio reviews, then you'll see several of those blue blips during your 12 to 5 period. So what happens now? So all of the applications that you submit will be sent to the company with your resume for future networking. And the companies are strongly encouraged to welcome your outreach. If you have a successful portfolio review or not, they participate in this event to make contacts and to make connections and potential people that they want to work with. So following up is expected, and it's a great process for them because it really helps them get more out of their investment of time participating. And you can always reach out to these companies, and as I pointed out earlier, you can view the employer directory to see who the contact names are, and some of those contact names will share email. So with every company that participates, we ask if we can share their contact info with you. Some companies say yes, some say no, but you can take advantage of that by looking in Artworks. So yeah, so your applications will be sent to these companies that you applied to. And you can click on the employer directory to look up contact info for people. We'll also be publishing this information to the Design Portfolio Review website. So that same page that has like the participating companies for 2025, the night of the event or the next morning, we will make a link. And here we're showing last year's page, just so you can see what it looks like. There'll be a link at the top with information on all of the attendees. So now that we've covered the process of applying and the artwork side of this process, it'd be good to talk about like the experiential side, like the classic, how do you engage and communicate with a reviewer or a potential employer? This has a lot of parallels to interviewing as well. So the event is a great way to get feedback for your portfolio, but also to practice your skills in communicating with employers. So first, you want to consider what your pitch is. If you've got a portfolio review meeting, we're talking about a 15-minute meeting. This is a very small period of time. It might seem like a lot, but it'll go by very quickly. So you'd be wise to take some steps to prepare with this overview of bullets to have your pitch prepared and to practice it with your peers. A lot of people that you're in studio with could be great people to talk with and to practice what your objectives are and what you're hoping to learn from someone when you're showing your work, maybe what they're looking for in your portfolio. Another aspect is like the actual video, like the virtual experience. So the virtual experience, again, we have another new feature that was launched last year. Rather than having to rely on Zoom or Microsoft Teams or Google Meet or any of these random video platforms, we have everything centralized in Artworks now, which is fantastic. We had a kind of a tricky problem with employers losing their links for their Zoom meetings, and this is a great way to keep everyone in the same place and makes it much more straightforward. So there is a video conferencing available, and this is a lot like what it looks like. You'd have your video screen, much like a Zoom or a Google Meet interface. And on the left, you can see these different entries for the different portfolio review meetings. So if you actually have like more than one portfolio review, you'll see them lined up in sequence on the left. It's a great way to keep track of what's going on. You're not shifting to different links for different meetings. It's all, you just join your meeting in Artworks and you stay put, and you'll go through each of your portfolio reviews in succession. We do have a tip though about screen sharing. So because Artworks runs through a web browser, right? When you go to share your screen, it will open your screen sharing in a separate tab. So this can be a little bit confusing because 1 minute you have a window with your video and you're looking at the reviewer face to face, and then you hit screen share and it pops up a new tab, and that video screen is in a previous tab. What we recommend doing is separate those tabs into separate windows as I have here, so that you're screen sharing using the green window, and you can resize it so that it takes up a partial amount of the screen. And then you can resize the other window with your video images on the left, let's say. And that's what we have in magenta here. So it's just kind of like putting those two windows side by side on your laptop. Another important tip is to use Google Chrome for the meetings that you'll have in Artworks. Artworks is optimized for Chrome and it does work best with that platform. I just want to like eliminate any possible technical glitches so that you have a smooth experience. Does that make sense, everybody? Cool. So it's not in person, but you still want to think about how you're presenting yourself. So dress as if you're being intentional and with purpose, and if that's creative or if it's more conservative or whatever it may be, just dress in an intentional manner where you show that you care. And of course, there's like the remote etiquette, which we've all gotten so familiar with through years of remote times, where you make sure that you've got fast internet that you're connected to, you've got your camera and video working well, and the room is well lit, and you're in a quiet place that's hopefully avoiding distraction and noises so that you can have the best experience possible and you can just focus on your portfolio review. I get questions a lot about how do I present to the reviewer? What do I say? How do I do this? So the short answer is you don't know exactly what to expect, but we recommend being ready for anything. That would mean to me, go into this conversation and perhaps offer to the reviewer, hey, would you like me to take you through my portfolio, or would you prefer to drive? Because the reviewer has seen your work, possibly leading up to the review event. Maybe they have certain projects that they'd like you to see, that they would like to see. So it's great to offer options to the reviewer just so that they can choose the kind of experience they would like to have. And a strategy with your portfolio presentation is to consider the things that you feel are aligned with the company that you're meeting with. So a great way to prepare for the portfolio reviews is to think about each company and the works and the products or the projects that they've done. And what are the things that you're most excited about that actually resemble things that you're working on? And you do the best that you can with compatibility. You don't always have work that's directly compatible, of course, you're in school. So it's just choosing the things that you think are most relevant or have elements that are relevant to the company that you're meeting with. Some questions to ask that we could offer you as just a sampling are, what are the top skills that you seek in applicants? Or what makes an applicant stand out? Is there anything you'd recommend I add to my portfolio? Or where do you post openings when you do have them? And a really important one, however you phrase it, please ask for contact info so that you could follow up with a thank you note and for correspondence. This is a phenomenal opportunity to get professional leads, and you can use these leads after the event, whether you're a junior and you still have a ways to go to graduation, or you're coming up on graduation. These connections can help you for the rest of your career. So try to get that contact info and establish a dialogue. Now, following up, especially if you don't get to meet with the company that you hoped to, you can still follow up. As I pointed out, we provide the contact info for a lot of these people. Sending a thank you note, that could be in the mail, which would be really unusual and memorable in a lot of ways because we don't tend to send physical things in the mail anymore, or an email. No brainer, please do consider connecting on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great place for this type of networking activity. And if you're using Instagram, do see if you can find them on Instagram if it's professionally oriented, and try to follow them and engage with them there. And just generally keeping in touch, which means taking moments to remind yourself maybe every other month to send a quick check-in email to someone to let them know what's going on in studio, or to give them praise for things that you're seeing coming out of their company. And this has an aspect of being persistent. So I had mentioned, like, if you can set a reminder every couple months to do your outreach to your best companies that you're excited about, it can be a great way to prove that you're engaged and that you really do want to follow through with them. And you could earn some special attention from them, which could help you get an internship or a job. Always take the opportunity to share the enthusiasm that you have for their work. You know, even for companies that are famous, that know that they're famous, they still like to hear from you that you're passionate about what they do. So don't be shy about that. And then also, as I mentioned, share some examples of your work, some works in progress, some new things that you published to your portfolio. Anything is a good reason to keep in touch with them. Now, as I mentioned, we will have the list of reviewers that participate in the event, and that'll be published on March 13th, which is the day after the portfolio reviews. And I'm showing this because this does show you the level of detail that you can get. Like, you'll be getting the company, the person's name, their title, if they have email available, and if they are an alum. And a great way to take a name from a company that you were excited about, like let's say Hasbro, is to look that person up on LinkedIn. And this is kind of a quick overview of LinkedIn. Of course, there's much more to using LinkedIn, but just to address maybe the most common question is, what do I say to someone if I'm trying to connect on LinkedIn? And so here's like a very brief example of what you could say, which would just be like gratitude for them participating in design portfolio review, mentioning that you're excited about their company and their work, and asking for a connection on LinkedIn. You're not asking any huge favors or any grand requests. It's really just meant to be an initial gesture. And then if you get that connection from them, you'll be notified by LinkedIn and you'll be able to reach out and follow up with them for further communication and maybe asking for an informational interview, or if there's positions coming up this summer or something like that. So we did go through this at a brisk pace, but I wanted to make sure that everybody got the kind of lay of the land with the design review and the process. We do have drop-ins available every Monday and Friday from 9 to 1, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 11 to 1. So please take advantage of those with any other questions that you have.